Hello everyone, I am Jenika Thadani, and as you all know that we are running a series of the landmark judgments of Supreme Court, and here I am presenting one of such judgment to you. The name of the judgment, as we all know, the very famous judgment, that is the E.P. Royappa case. The E.P. Royappa case, so basically जब भी हम बात करते हैं E.P. Royappa case की, so the first thing that comes to our mind is the statement which was given, that is equality and arbitrariness are sworn enemies. कि equality and arbitrariness, they cannot coexist, they are sworn enemies. So that was basically the highlight of this particular judgment. So this judgment basically deals with the principle of equality as dealt under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. Article 14 provides for the principle of equality before law and equal protection of law. So basically, prior to this judgment, the concept of equality was based upon or was basically interpreted according to the traditional test of reasonable classification or intelligible differentia. But when this judgment was pronounced by the Honorable Supreme Court, the interpretation of Article 14 was widened. Basically, the concept of equality was limited. Earlier to this judgment, the concept of equality was limited to the test of intelligible differentia, stating that the intelligible differentia, that is also based upon the principle of non-discrimination, is directly related to Article 14. कि पहले Article 14 का मतलब था non-discrimination, and a classification is constitutional or not used to depend upon entirely the concept or the test of reasonable classification or intelligible differentia. But post the pronouncement of this judgment, the ambit got widened, and the Supreme Court held that it is not only the non-discrimination, it is not only the rule of non-discrimination which defines equality. Rather, the principle of equality is also to be interlinked with the principle of non-arbitrariness. And this brings us to the very famous concept of basic structure. So we have a concept of basic structure theory in which we always read that the basic structure of the Constitution is not just limited to particularly one or two provisions or the articles of the Constitution. Rather, the basic structure contains various principles which cut across various provisions of the Indian Constitution. That is why जब मेनका गांधी जजमेंट आया था, वहां पे बोला गया था that it is because of the basic structure principles, the procedure established by law under Article 21 should be interpreted as a due process of law. That means the procedure has to be just, fair and reasonable. And yes, the just, fairness, reasonableness, non-arbitrariness, these are all the basic structure principles of the Indian Constitution which cut across, basically इनको हम overarching principles भी बोलते हैं, because they cut across various provisions or various articles of the Indian Constitution, which also includes Article 14. That means we have to give a wider interpretation to Article 14 because the principles of basic structure are also applicable upon Article 14. That is why under the E.P. Royappa judgment, it was held that the Article 14, or to maintain the rule of law, to establish the rule of law, the rule of non-discrimination or reasonable classification is not the only thing to be considered. Rather, along with the test of reasonable classification or along with the rule of non-discrimination, we also have to see that whether the legislative or the executive or administrative action is arbitrary or not. Because if the action, be it a legislative action or be it an administrative or executive action, if the action is arbitrary, if it gives rise to arbitrariness, then we cannot say that it is as per the principle of equality. Because equality and arbitrariness, they can never coexist. Wherever there is an arbitrariness in action, it is definitely going to be against the rule of equality and hence unconstitutional. Therefore, this case is very important if we want to understand the concept of equality. Because equality is not limited to the equality before law and equal protection of law under Article 14. It also includes the rule against arbitrariness or the rule of non-arbitrary actions by the state. Article 14 basically is a dynamic concept. So in this case also, the court held that Article 14 or equality is a dynamic concept. It has to change along with the change in the society. हम बात करते हैं ना जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की, so it is said to be, the constitution is said to be the mirror of the society. Why? Because as and when the societal trend, the society changes, the constitution or the constitutional principles, they also change accordingly. And hence, earlier, the principle of equality was just based upon the rule of non-discrimination. But now, as the society has developed, has grown, we have also developed in this judgment, we also developed the concept of equality. That is, equality should always contain non-arbitrary actions by the state. Therefore, E.P. Royappa judgment strictly deals with the principle of non-arbitrariness. And basically, it has defined the principle of equality in the sense that यहाँ पे equality को define किस तरीके से किया गया है, यहाँ पे equality के concept को wider किया गया है, broaden किया गया है. So basically, that is the gist of the E.P. Royappa judgment. Now let's just look at the intricacies of the judgment as to what the judgment has to say. Alright, so let's just read the judgment. So let's look at the case details. The details of the case are that the name of the case, the full name of the case is E.P. Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu. Alright, so this is E.P. Royappa case, which is also, the full name is E.P. Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu and another. The date of the judgment was 23rd of November 1973. Alright, it is a landmark judgment, it is a Supreme Court judgment, and the judgment was given by a 5 judges bench comprising of Chief Justice A.N. Ray, Justice D.G. Palekar, Justice Y.V. Chandrachud, Justice P.N. Bhagwati and Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer. And that is the full citation of the case, if you want to know the full citation. So here is the full citation of the case. Now let's look at the background of the case as to what are the facts of the case. Alright, let's look at the factual background. It has been said that the petitioner, alright, the person who has filed the petition was a member of the Indian Administrative Services in the cadre of the state of Tamil Nadu. Alright, so he was a member of IAS in the cadre of state of Tamil Nadu. He was firstly, initially, he got promoted to the position of the Chief Secretary. Alright, so there was a promotion and he was promoted to the post of the Chief Secretary. After his promotion, basically, when he was promoted, so after he got promoted as the Chief Secretary, afterwards, he faced various transfers and those transfers were on the low-ranked positions. So the petitioner here has considered these transfers as arbitrary and any transfers के against ये petition पिटिशनर ने की थी. Thus these transfers were arbitrary and they were a kind of demotion for him. So firstly he was promoted and then he was transferred to a low ranked positions, which includes the position of a deputy chairman of the State Planning Commission and also an officer on special duty. So the allegation, the major allegation of the petitioner here was that these transfers are like demotions because they are arbitrarily done by the administrative action. So he questioned upon, he raised a question upon the transfers or the demotions which were done by the administrative action. So he questioned upon the constitutionality and the validity of such low ranked transfers. All right, आगे देखते हैं क्या लिखा है यहाँ पे. Again, the petitioner challenged. So I just mentioned that he challenged the transfers. All right, so he challenged the transfers and appointment on the ground that they violated the Indian Administrative Services cadre rules. All right, infringed upon his fundamental rights under Article 14 and Article 16 and were made in malified exercise of power. So basically here it is written malified exercise of power, that is arbitrariness. So the petitioner here challenged कि ये जो transfers हुए हैं, so subsequent to his promotion, afterwards when he was transferred to low ranked position, he challenged that these transfers are in violation of the IAS cadre rules. Also, he challenged the constitutionality by saying that this transfers basically violated his right under Article 14 and Article 16 of the Constitution, and on the ground that these transfers were the arbitrary actions of the administration. All right. The state government justified the transfers as necessary administrative actions. All right. They basically the state, all right, state ने justify किया कि ये जो transfers हैं, these are the necessary administrative actions. That means state ने justify किया that these are not arbitrary in nature. These are the necessary, all right, the necessary procedural actions taken by the administration, asserting that these posts to which the petitioner has been transferred are not low-ranked posts. All right, the state also alleged कि ये जो post जिन पे इनको transfer किया गया है, they are not actually low-ranked posts. Rather, these posts are in equivalence with his position. All right, asserting that the post to which the petitioner was transferred were equivalent to in status and responsibility to the chief secretary. तो जो उनकी primary position थी of being a chief secretary, the state alleged, all right, asserted that he has not been transferred to a low-ranked position. Rather, the position that he has been given is at par, all right, is equivalent to his original chief secretary position. All right, so that was basically the allegation. All right, ये background है case के. That means जो allegation petitioner की थी and उसपे what was the say of the state, that has also been given. After that, so now let's see the legal provisions. So as we just mentioned कि यहाँ पे the legal provisions which are involved primarily are Article 14, 16 and 32. All right, other than that, so as we mentioned Article 14, 16 and 32, Article 14 which deals with the principle of equality. All right, it deals with equality before law and equal protection of law, which now after the E.P. Royappa judgment also includes the rule against arbitrary actions, the rule against arbitrary state actions. All right, also the challenge was in the name of Article 16 also, which includes the right of equality in the matters of state affairs, as in the public employment. All right, the positions of public employment. So basically Article 16 deals with equalities in the matters of opportunities. that the equality in the field of public employment regarding the appointment in public employment and the promotions in public employment. So basically it is a specific provision. All right, Article 16 is also an extension of Article 14. Article 14 generalizes the concept of equality, whereas Article 16 gives specific kind of equality. That means equality in the sphere of public opportunity or public employment. Next is Article 32, which is basically right to constitutional remedies. Here in the petition, the petitioner asked for the writ to be issued, primarily the writ of mandamus and the other suitable writs. Basically इसीलिए यहाँ पे writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court that is given under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution is also involved. Other than that, constitutional principles के अलावा, because this matter was primarily under the IAS rules, the IAS cadre rules, because petitioner ने ये भी challenge किया है that his rights under the IAS cadre rules is also infringed, are also infringed. So वो rules कौन से हैं? That we'll also see. The Indian Administrative Services Cadre Rules of 1954. So the first rule which is challenged here, or which is basically alleged to be violated here, is Rule 4, Clause 2, which deals with the strength and composition of the cadre. And the second rule which is involved is Rule 9, Sub-Rule 4, Clause 1, which deals with the appointment to non-cadre post. All right. So these were the IAS cadre rules जो कि infringe हुए हैं, which are stated to be infringed by the petitioner. Other than that, the constitutional provisions which are involved are 14, 16 and 32. Article 14, Article 16 and Article 32. All right. So moving forward, now let's look at the judgment of the court as to how the court justified with reasons basically. All right. How the court gave the judgment and what were the reasons behind those judgment. All right. यहाँ पे basically, so in short, the judgment of the court was that the court basically as a principle, court broadened the concept of equality. As I mentioned, that court stated that equality includes non-arbitrariness, because equality and arbitrariness, they are sworn enemies, they cannot coexist. All right. So basically, अगर कोई arbitrary state action है, then it will definitely violate Article 14. And if that action is regarding public employment, then it will definitely violate Article 16. But here, the judgment which was given by the court was that it was a mere procedural flaw. All right, it was a mere procedural flaw, and the post to which he was transferred was equivalent, and there was a missing evidences upon the arbitrary action, the action being malified. So the petitioner was not able to discharge the onus basically. So for that purpose, the court gave this judgment. Let's look at the judgment. The Supreme Court held that the petitioner's promotion as Chief Secretary was in an officiating capacity and not substantive, which affects his claim regarding the right to the post. Next observation is the court noted that the transfer to the post, like the deputy chairman and the officer on special duty, did not constitute a violation of Article 14 and Article 16 because the equivalence of the post was not established as inferior in status and responsibilities, that the posts were equivalent. The arbitrary action would have been taken if he was transferred to an inferior post. But here, the equivalence of the post was not established as inferior in status and responsibility. Then, another observation of the court is, the court clarified the validity of a transfer cannot solely be based upon the petitioner's claim of mala fides without sufficient evidences. जैसा मैंने अभी आपको बताया कि just claiming or asserting in the petition that there was an arbitrary action, there was a malafide on the part of the state or the administration will not clearly lead to a violation of the constitutional rights or the fundamental rights. The petitioner has to discharge the onus by proving that yes, the act was arbitrary. The onus of proof lies with the petitioner. Again, the court found that there is no requirement for a formal declaration for equivalence for the post in question as the administrative discretion was exercised validly. That the discretion, the exercise of discretion was not arbitrary, rather it was lawfully exercised, it was validly exercised. The challenge based on Article 14 and 16 failed due to insufficient material to substantiate the claim that the transferred posts were of lesser status. Because of the equivalence of the post, the petitioner failed to prove that the rights under Article 14 and 16 they have been violated because of insufficient evidences on the part of the petitioner that the post was a low ranked post. क्योंकि अगर post low ranked proof हो जाती तब कहीं जाके हम बोलते कि that this is an arbitrary act. But here, due to insufficient material to substantiate the post being a low rank post, hence the challenge based on Article 14 and 16 failed. So basically, हमने discuss किया that what is the essence of the E.P. Royappa judgment. Also, we discussed about the facts of the case and the ruling, the judgment of the Supreme Court in that particular state, in that particular case. Again, the major change which was brought by this particular judgment is that it widened, again I am saying that it widened the scope of the principle of equality. That now the equality, after this judgment, the equality is not just based upon non-discrimination, rather it also includes the principle of non-arbitrariness. So here we have certain practice questions जो आपके जुडिशरी के एग्जाम में इस केस से रिलेटेड या फिर प्रिंसिपल ऑफ इक्वालिटी रिगार्डिंग नॉन आर्बिट्ररीनेस से रिगार्डिंग आपसे पूछे जा सकते हैं. So let's look at the practice question number 1, which is basically a prelims question, an MCQ, in which it has been asked that which of the following articles of the Constitution of India guarantees equality before the law. So option A, Article 12, option B, Article 14, option C, Article 16, and option D, Article 32. So articles which guarantee. So कौन सा आर्टिकल इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ गारंटी कर रहा है? दैट इज कौन से आर्टिकल के अंदर द राइट टू इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ हैज बीन गारंटीड, हैज बीन गिवन under the Indian Constitution? The answer is B, that is Article 14. Because Article 14 deals with the principle of equality before law, equal protection of law. So Article 14 is the answer. Next question पे चलते हैं, which is basically a mains related question, a descriptive question. क्या लिखा है? The question is, analyze the implication of Supreme Court's judgment in the E.P. Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu on the interpretation of the administrative discretion in the transfer of civil servants. How does this case affect the fundamental rights of administrative service of the members? So basically this case is about, the question is about the principle of equality in light of the E.P. Royappa judgment. So now while writing this answer, the answer to this question, we have to start by explaining what is the concept of equality. सबसे पहले हमें explain करना है कि equality क्या होता है. Equality in light of Article 14. Then we have to mention what was the concept or the ambit of the principle of equality prior to the E.P. Royappa judgment. After that, we have to mention that what were the changes brought by the E.P. Royappa judgment as to how the ambit or the scope was broadened after the E.P. Royappa judgment. Then we have to mention about the relationship between equality and non-arbitrariness. Also, we have to specifically mention the rulings which were there or the guidelines or the point which was held specifically in the EP Royappa case. And then again, because यहाँ पे आपको fundamental rights पे उसका इफेक्ट भी बताना है, एंड क्योंकि हम यहाँ पे सिविल सर्वेंट्स की बात कर रहे हैं, दैट मीन्स हम पब्लिक एम्प्लॉयमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं. सो अगेन, व्हाट इज द इंपैक्ट ऑफ आर्बिट्ररीनेस अपॉन आर्टिकल 14 एंड आर्टिकल 16, वो हमें इसके सेकेंड पार्ट में समझाना. कि जैसे हमने यहां देखा कि आर्टिकल 14 एंड आर्टिकल 16 विल गेट हैम्पर्ड, विल गेट वायलेटेड इफ द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्शन रिगार्डिंग द पब्लिक सिविल सर्वेंट is arbitrary. So article 14, article 16 कैसे violate होगा, the reasons for that you have to mention here. Along with that, हम article 32 भी यहाँ पे mention कर सकते हैं as to if due to arbitrary administrative action, if article 14 and article 16 gets violated, then which writ comes into force or how the Supreme Court will exercise its writ jurisdiction under article 32. So that can also be mentioned in this particular answer. But we have to keep this thing in mind because they have specifically asked about EP Royappa judgment. This answer should be in line with EP Royappa ruling. So पूरे आंसर में हमने जो स्ट्रक्चर बनाना है, it should be according to the principle held in the EP Royappa case. So that is about the EP Royappa judgment, the very famous judgment of EP Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu. We saw the background, the ruling of the case, the details of the cases, and even the practice questions. So that is about this video. We'll meet in the next video again very soon. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.